club are in no rush to negotiate a new contract.
How does that extension work, Vass? Is there a prearranged salary on the extension, or do they have to negotiate with a player to come up with that salary in order for him to want to extend?
I think it's the club. The club has the option. So if the club exercises that option, the player effectively has no say because he's already signed that contract that gives the club the right to extend for a further season. Now, at the end of the transfer window, Poch was saying that Toby's happy. All contracts will get reviewed after the window. So we've moved on a month or so far. Nothing's really happened. Toby himself has said, I'm happy at Spurs. I'm focusing on my football. There's been reports that he's happy despite no new contract, and that's all happening in the background. And he's even gone as far as to say that he loves playing with Toby, and he hopes to line up alongside Toby for years to come. So unless he's figuring on taking Toby with him wherever he's going to be going, that I don't know how that's going to happen. But it's kind of bubbling under the surface at the moment, and I don't know if it's just journo speak or the agent getting impatient because his agent had his tuppence worth about a month ago as well. But I can understand that the club's stance on this, if indeed his contract doesn't end until 2019 and we have the option for another year. Clearly other clubs are going to be monitoring this, but I think Spurs are in a pretty strong position, and he likes working with Pochettino and Jan, as I said before. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this one. Now, I know Tim was saying about a new contract for Dele at 80k a week or whatever it is. But I think, as you said, Sam, in previous pods and messages, nobody really knows what these players earn as a matter of fact. So it's all kind of conjecture. But I suspect that Levy sets up his contracts with a basic, but it's got to be incentive laden. There's no way an agent for Ali or Toby or whoever will accept 50, 80 grand a week contracts as a sort of maxed out ceiling level of earnings. So there's got to be more.
I mean, the agents acutely are aware of what the market is, and if a team, a chairman presents an uncompetitive contract, it doesn't really matter what the amount is. Uncompetitive is uncompetitive, whether uncompetitive is 75 or 175. I think you're right. I think that's where that's who knows what the numbers are, but the agents. And the system, right? It's all about a system of making money and everybody's incentives to make money. And the agents, to Ken's point, this is a ploy to get negotiating with a club over a player, because that's how agents get paid, and that's how players get better salaries.
Sam, don't you have to be very careful though, as a chairman and as a board, when you fill these contracts with incentive laden pieces of information? Because if it's goals, hopefully it's wins. That has to be very team centric, because if you make it individual, you're going to have players calling for the ball in the box all the time, and maybe that's why we see a Dele get disgusted or upset when Kane doesn't make a pass, but he'll turn and shoot from an unreal angle and with 3 defenders in his face rather than trying to maybe backheel the ball over to him. I need a goal too so that I can get my 10 grand. Do they have to be very careful in how they do this?
Oh, sure. I mean, there's certainly a science to it. I think there's other things as well away from actual performance, and that's image rights and giving a player a greater share of his image rights, because that can be an enormous moneymaker to a player like Dele. I mean, Dele is becoming an Adidas brand like a Paul Pogba, and in many respects he can make as much, if not more, money from those commercial revenues. And so if he is willing to maybe take a pay cut relative to, I'm just using a Pogba as an example, or another really high-paid player, yet he's going to get a disproportionate share of his commercial revenue, it evens out. But the point to my answer is, to answer your question directly, absolutely, it's a science. I mean, there's method to the madness. I mean, they want to get to a certain point.
And speaking of that, Tim, Dele last week, or the week prior rather, we didn't talk about it last week, was booked for diving against Huddersfield. Why you would want to dive against a Huddersfield, I don't know. You just feel a little bit of contact or anticipate that contact and dive. And he was booked for that. Does he need to be really careful in terms of his image with things like that?
I mean, I think he already has that image. And I don't have any problem with. I don't think it's anything necessarily with it being against Huddersfield. I mean, that's just his style of play. If he feels something in the box, he's going to go down. We've seen him do it time after time again. That's just his style of play.
Okay, not fair enough. I mean, it makes me wonder that he doesn't want to get labeled as a diver. I mean, Kane is starting to have a little bit of that, but he's so deadly, and he's so good for England himself that he's never going to be labeled something negative.
I think Dele already is labeled as a diver.
Yeah, I do too. And we had our one of our greatest players in the last 10 years was known as a diver as well. Gareth Bale, notorious diver, in fact.
Yeah, and Ginola before him.
And Klinsmann made fun of it. So,
oh yeah,
why? It's just part of the game. I mean, I hate saying that because it's a part of the game I wish didn't exist. But you see it in the NBA too. 7'4" guys that are flopping all over like dead fish every time they get touched. It's inherently part of sport because you're trying to gain your team an advantage. That's exactly what it is. All right. So we've talked about the international break. Talked about England. We talked about the U.S. So I've got an interesting question. For some of you, this will be easy. Others, I'm very interested in the response. If England and the U.S. play each other in this upcoming World Cup at some point, I have no idea if they can be paired together in the group stage or not. But if they do play each other, who do you pull for? I have grown to be personally a very big England fan because of how Spurs-centric the squad is. Vass, this is an easy one for you, right?
By the way, you did say we when you referred to the England team earlier in the pod. You said we. So.
Did I?
Yeah. No. Ken did.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, Ken did.
That's how much of an affinity I have.
We is us, Ken. We is us.
Us is the team. We is us.
What was the question?
If England and the U.S. play each other in the World Cup, who do you pull for?
Well, for me, I don't think this question applies. It's got to be to you guys, really, hasn't it?
Oh, because it's England, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
it's already happened. It happened.
As much as I love the US, it's like,
Yeah.
It happened in 2010.
So we take that cap off. Yeah, it did happen in 2010. So we take that cap off and go to Timmy. Now, Tim is a newer fan, very much a Spurs fan, as much a Spurs fan as I am, and anybody else in the States, for that matter. And just like most, has grown an affinity for that England squad because of that. Who do you root for, Tim?
I mean, it's easy. I could give two shits about the England squad. I'll say that right now. I'm not English. I'm American. I support Spurs. I don't care about other London clubs, other English clubs. And so when you're putting it up on international, I mean, if your home country's going up against a squad where you have multiple players for it, I mean, it's an easy answer for me.
Okay.
It's America. I mean, it's the same thing as when U.S. played Belgium in the last World Cup. There were a good number of Spurs players in that squad, but obviously I root for America. This is my country. That's where I'm born, and my loyalty's not going to change on that.
Okay, so fair enough, and I agree with you. So now it gets a little interesting because Sam and Simon both lived abroad and were raised abroad, and then came over and became United States citizens. So Sam, I'll start with you. Same question.
Yeah, this is one I have to answer a little bit heavy-hearted because I do love this country. This country has afforded me and my family wonderful opportunities and blessings, but I cheer for England first. Ugh. But I did.
Wow.
I did. I wanted to look. I mean, for 10 years, I mean, as long as I ever remember first kicking a ball, I dreamt of playing for Spurs, dreamt of playing for England. I sat in a pizza restaurant in Castelvetrano, Italy, I think it was 2010, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 2010 when England played the U.S. And
you said we.
Yeah,
Rostenburg.
Yeah, and I cheered for England. I wore my England jersey that day. It was a shit game.
Simon?
Isn't that one where Green made that terrible error?
Oh, yeah.
Robert Green.
Yeah. After what Gerrard scored in the first 10 minutes.
Chairs is the one that I want to hear the answer for.
Yeah, this is.
I think I know the answer.
I
actually know the answer.
The answer is Australia, mate.
Yeah, he was there longer.
That middle country of mine. It's England all the way. Always has been, always will be. And like you, Sam, America has afforded me a great lifestyle the last 25 years I've been here. I've been a citizen since 2004, And I have a lot vested in the US. I want them to get to the World Cup, but if they're playing England, first and foremost, is not even a shred of doubt. And I do apologize when I took the oath. I did have my fingers crossed behind my back.
So here's a question.
Kick me out. No, don't.
If the U.S. were to not qualify, and I think they will qualify, but if they don't qualify, would this ultimately be a good or a bad thing for the game here in the U.S.? Bad?
It's got to be bad, hasn't it, guys? No?
It's got to be horrible.
It is, because no disrespect to Tim, but Americans are fair weather fans, and the only time they get interested
Tim!
in soccer.
Slashed your neck.
No. I know so many, obviously, Americans in this country. They have this affinity to the world stage. The curiosity is pricked when the World Cup comes on, and they stop and they watch and they see the U.S., then they pick it apart if the U.S. doesn't do well, because they expect the U.S. to just win at everything, even though they've got no backstory to why the sport still struggles in this country. And so it's like playing with one hand tied behind the back, unfortunately, because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario for the average sports fan in this country who doesn't get soccer.
I don't know, man. Tim, I want to get your opinion on this, because MLS has grown so much.
It's
done it right.
It's a shit league.
Well, maybe so, but
right.
Tim, how do you feel about this? I mean, would it be a bad thing or a long-term good thing?
No, it would be detrimental
You think it would be?
to future progress. Because look at it, the youth right now, with the Premier League being on TV over here, they're able to watch La Liga, Champions League. Everything's now aired on TV over here. With the concussion concerns, parents are focusing their children more towards American soccer rather than American football. And if we don't have this stage to showcase the talent on for these young players to watch this upcoming summer, I think there could be some very good players in the future that lose interest in the game and go on to another sport. So I think it's detrimental for the future if USA fails to qualify for a World Cup.
Yeah, and I think we're still a generation away, too, because there are multiple reports and very accurate reports coming out that less kids are playing American-style football because of all the concussion issues and health issues that go along with that sport, and are playing more soccer because of the popularity that has grown in the United States with all the coverage that we have now, and the fact that because of that coverage, you're able to pick a team and follow that team and follow those players on social media. So it begs an interesting question. However, to answer my own question, I would have a very hard time because I would really be torn. I would be. I am very much a club. I am very much a club over country guy. I could give a toss about international football until the World Cup is played, because I do enjoy the tournament. However, that being said, I would root for England over the United States when it comes to that match. Absolutely, as long as it is filled.
It's your country.
As long as it is filled with the players from my club, I will. I am not a turncoat.
Wow.
I was cheering for Belgium when they played the United States.
Oh, this is shocking.
Shame.
Oh,
shame.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my
Shame.
goodness.
Shame.
I mean, I can hear the.
Shame.
I can
Shame.
smell the. I can smell the flag burning. I can smell it burning in the background. Shameful.
I hope the White House isn't listening to this.
Oh my God!
But let me to answer the question that you guys.
No. This podcast has now been called Hotspur England.
Wow.
We've lost our sponsor.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. But to continue the point really quick, when you talk about the World Cup and if the Americans don't qualify or get out of the group stage or whatever, how detrimental would it be? To be quite honest, as I was becoming more and more of a footy fan, and I look back on it and I think about the American pride that I feel watching tournaments, it was Brandy Chastain and Mia Hamm more than it was any of the Alexi Lawless, teams or even the current team that I found more of an affinity to and felt more pride in. Watching that women's team dominate the world the way that they did, that's more of where my unity lies, or where my pride as an American lies, is with the women's national team more than it does with the men's national team. It's just the way it is for me.
Well, at least you're honest about it. God bless you.
Thank you. Gesundheit. All that good stuff. England does qualify. We did mention that earlier. They have a very interesting run. And when I was doing some research, they play both Germany and Brazil in November.